All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the 21st Century Man podcast. Today, we're going deep on, well, I guess you could say a cornerstone of modern living, creating a masculine space,
Hmm.
which is chapter 62 of the book.
Hmm.
And honestly, this chapter is just jam-packed with actionable advice.
It is. And for the listener out there, who values their time and wants knowledge that's directly applicable to their life,
Right.
this is the deep dive for you.
Absolutely.
We're going to unpack the essential ideas here, give you a roadmap to shaping your environment,
Yeah.
whether you're in a tiny apartment
Yeah.
or a grand estate. These principles are going to resonate.
Yeah, I think so too. And whether you're thinking, huge renovation
Hmm.
or just like tweaking your current space,
Right.
the ideas here, they really do apply across the board.
They do.
I think the core idea, and it's put beautifully in this chapter,
Yeah.
is that good design, it's not just about the looks.
Right.
It's got to have that personal resonance, like a harmony where everything just clicks.
Mm.
You know it when you're in a space that just feels right.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're hoping to help you create today.
That's it.
And we're tapping into Michael Teeb's expertise here. He's a landscape designer.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see these principles, they go way beyond just the garden.
Yeah, they're really universal.
So let's get into it.
Okay.
Chapter 62, it really starts by making this powerful connection between a man's home and his sense of empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
It even kicks off with a quote from Steve Jobs. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works.
I love that quote.
Right. Sets the tone for the whole chapter, like practical, results-oriented.
Exactly. And that emphasis on practicality is the next key point,
Yeah.
Men just inherently often get that design should be functional first and foremost.
Makes sense.
It's not just about looking pretty. It's got to work for your life, support what you do.
Totally. Yeah. And then it lays out this super clear 4-step process,
Right.
which is honestly gold. Whether you're, doing a whole landscape overhaul
Mm-hmm.
or just rearranging your living room,
Right.
building an idea file, defining how the space will be used, doing your research, and then pulling it all together in a plan.
That's it. That's the framework right there.
This isn't just a suggestion. This is like avoiding costly mistakes,
Absolutely.
making sure your vision actually happens.
100%.
So that first step, building an idea file.
Right. And this can feel a little daunting for some people,
Sure.
but Teb makes this great point. Even seasoned designers, they rely on inspiration gathering,
Absolutely, yeah.
like having a visual collection to work from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, think of it like a mood board or a file of photos, If you're thinking interiors, it's images of rooms you love, furniture styles that catch your eye, paint swatches, even samples of materials,
Okay.
Wood, tile, metal, fabric, whatever speaks to you.
Mhm.
And if it's outdoor spaces, your file might have landscapes, specific plants, trees, outdoor furniture,
Mhm.
even pictures of activities you imagine yourself doing in that space.
Exactly. That's such a good point because it helps you visualize how you'll actually use the space.
Exactly. And he gives you some really practical advice on where to find this inspiration.
Yeah.
Use search engines, Google, visual platforms like Pinterest, who's saves snapshots of rooms, maybe from a friend's house, a cool Airbnb you stayed at,
Right.
even your favorite restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
He even says look through magazines, take screenshots from TV. Set designers are surprisingly good at this stuff.
Yeah, they are.
Basically, any space that gives you a good feeling, it's valuable at this stage.
Yeah, capture it.
And I love that he encourages you to just embrace the process, allow yourself to daydream. At this point, anything goes.
Yeah, don't edit yourself.
Right, don't start judging yet.
Just gather, gather, gather.
Maybe you're drawn to that intricate stonework of an Italian villa.
Mhm.
Or maybe you love those flowing fountains and fragrant vines of a Hawaiian resort.
Mhm.
It's about capturing what sparks your interest.
Yeah, and trust your gut.
Yeah.
If something catches your eye, there's probably a reason.
Totally. And as you're gathering these images, you'll start to see patterns emerge.
That's the cool part.
Right. Like maybe you consistently gravitate towards a certain style,
Mm-hmm.
like the warmth of a Mediterranean garden.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you're more into the manicured look of an English lawn.
Right.
Or maybe the clean lines of a contemporary garden with concrete and steel.
Mm-hmm. You'll also start to notice which activities you keep coming back to.
Yes.
Like, do you picture yourself hosting big gatherings or enjoying quiet dinners, relaxing around a fire pit, swimming, gardening?
Exactly. It's all valuable information.
And he says it's not just the overall aesthetic. Pay attention to the colors that pop up repeatedly.
Yeah.
Are you drawn to those bold primary colors? Reds, blues, yellows, or more muted tones, subtle shades.
Right. High contrast versus blended shades.
Exactly.
Every detail counts,
It does, because it all feeds into your own personalized vision.
Exactly. Which brings us to step 2, defining how the space will function.
Right. So now we're getting practical.
Yeah.
You've got your inspiration. Now it's time to think about how you actually live.
Right.
What do you need in this space? Not just to look good, but to feel good.
Yeah. And this is where the chapter gets really interesting. He brings in the idea of your stage in life.
Because that influences everything.
He starts with the career man. And he observes that often during this busy phase, guys might delegate design decisions to their partners.
Right, out of necessity, time constraints.
Right.
But doesn't mean they don't care.
Exactly. And a good designer, they'll make sure to include aspects that appeal to everyone.
Absolutely. And then there's midlife, which he presents as this opportunity to really create a space that reflects who you are at this point.
I like that.
You've maybe moved past those external markers of success. We're looking for something deeper, more personal.
Yeah. And he even says something like, this is my chance. I don't have to work as many hours. Maybe I can get more involved in the design, define what I want.
It's empowering.
It is, yeah. Then he talks about men in transition and points out that times of change, like moving, the new relationship, empty nest, downsizing, grandkids.
All these big life shifts.
They're ideal moments to reevaluate your home environment.
Don't let things get stagnant.
He says your home should feed your soul.
Love that.
And it's not just about the present, right?
Design with your future self in mind.
Total.
What will bring you joy 5-10 years down the line?
And lastly, under stage of life, there's retirement.
The golden years.
He gives some great examples here. Outdoor cooking areas, pizza ovens, home brewing spaces, even things like home vineyards, bocce courts.
Yeah, really making the space your own.
Right. And then he touches on DIY, which is super relevant for a lot of guys.
Especially these days.
He stresses that good design, planning, it's crucial even if you're doing the work yourself.
Absolutely.
You're investing your own time, effort, budget.
You don't want to have to redo things.
Right. Measure twice, cut once.
Exactly.
So after considering your stage in life, he dives into what he calls defining elements. And he starts with substantial design.
Okay.
He describes masculine furniture as, typically larger, often with those square lines, a sense of weight, and definitely comfort.
Right. Think like that favorite armchair.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you can really sink in.
He also notes a preference for clean, uncluttered design.
Not too fussy.
Right. And strong, defined lines.
Yeah, a sense of purposefulness.
Some men, they might like that really powerful aesthetic, while others prefer something more understated.
Right. It's about personal preference.
Visually, he talks about this male inclination towards texture and natural materials like brick, stone, wood.
Yeah, those earthy elements.
And then he talks about communal spaces for entertaining.
Especially for men who are still active in their careers.
Right. There's this desire to have a home that feels welcoming for clients and colleagues, that open door feeling, inviting social areas.
Yeah.
Like you're proud to have people over.
Exactly.
And then there's the appeal of fire,
Primal element.
Fireplaces, fire pits.
Barbecues.
Always a gathering point.
He talks about how fire creates community warmth. Whether it's a casual barbecue or a full-on outdoor kitchen, cozy fireplace for those winter nights, pizza oven, fire pit for conversations under the stars.
Yeah, fire just brings people together.
Totally. And lastly, under defining elements, he talks about the home gym, a modern necessity.
He notes that, nowadays home designs often include dedicated gym areas.
Right, both indoor and outdoor.
Sometimes even with showers, saunas.
The whole package.
If that's part of your vision, you got to factor it in early.
Absolutely. Plan for the space, the equipment.
So we've built our idea file, define how we want the space to function.
Right.
And now it's time for research.
Okay, knowledge is power.
And Ted makes a great point here. You don't need to be rich to create a masculine space you love.
Exactly.
It's about tapping into your desires, understanding good design,
And he gives this great tip, getting inspired when you travel.
Yeah, love this.
Travel broadens your horizons, exposes you to new ideas from hotels, homes, resorts, even movies.
Yeah, soak it all in.
Take note of what you like, what catches your eye.
And then he talks about discover your sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you might get opinions from others.
Sure.
What matters is how it makes you feel.
It's your home. It should reflect your taste.
Exactly. It should resonate with you.
Absolutely.
So now we come to planning.
Okay, the rubber meets the road.
We've got our inspiration. We've defined the function. Time to make it concrete.
And he emphasizes the importance of planning on paper.
Yeah, old school.
Measurements, drawing to scale.
He even suggests, looking up resources online to learn how to do that properly.
Right. There are some great tutorials out there.
Yeah, and then scaled layouts of all the key areas.
Dining lounge, kitchen.
Seating areas, whatever you're envisioning.
And here's a great tip. He says, make scaled cutouts of your furniture.
Oh, I love that.
Appliances, so you can actually arrange them on the plan.
Yeah, like playing with paper dolls.
Exactly. It helps you see how things fit together.
And as you're doing that, he reminds you to consider a few key factors.
The available space, obviously.
Right.
Traffic flow, how people will move through the area, patterns of sunlight and shade, any views you want to highlight.
So much to think about.
It is, but it's all important.
And this all contributes to that overall feeling of home. He says a man wants to come home to a place he's proud of.
Right.
No matter how big or small it is.
It should feel like a reward for your efforts.
Exactly. He wants to spend time with his kids, connect with his partner.
Relax, unwind.
Enjoy a meal, outdoors, whatever it is.
And on a deeper level, he talks about home as more than just the physical space.
Yeah, it gets philosophical.
It's about creating an environment that speaks to your soul. It resonates with who you are.
And he acknowledges that feeling. It can be hard to describe.
It's like you know it when you feel it.
You just know.
Exactly.
And to illustrate these principles, he uses a case study, focusing on designing an outdoor space.
Okay, a practical example.
He reiterates that when planning for function, you have to define the intended uses. What activities do you want to accommodate?
Right, and what are the specific requirements for each?
And all this, it goes back to your inspiration file.
Exactly. Those images will guide you.
And he talks about the masculine landscape as one that supports your passions.
Whether it's golf, gardening, woodworking, just relaxing.
The key message here is plan before you build.
Absolutely. Avoid those costly do-overs.
And then he gives this amazing list of ideas for how to spend time in your garden.
Right, like a blueprint for outdoor living.
He talks about creating an outdoor living room, comfortable furniture, subtle lighting.
Perfect for evening gatherings.
Carefully considering your needs for patio dining.
Family meals versus large parties.
And then all the possibilities for outdoor cooking.
From a simple barbecue to a full kitchen.
Prep areas, wine tasting stations.
Building stuff together.
And then incorporating fitness elements.
Swimming pool, sports area, even a spa.
And making sure you have everything you need to entertain guests.
It's a holistic approach.
It is. He's thinking of everything.
It really is.
And then he gets into this really practical landscape design checklist.
Okay, this is gold.
He notes that a lot of his male clients, they share similar preferences.
Like what?
They like strong lines, clean shapes, well-maintained spaces.
Makes sense.
They want things to be easy to take care of.
So they can enjoy the space.
Exactly, not be constantly working on it.
Right.
And he stresses the importance of those neat, defined lines. Generous open spaces.
A sense of spaciousness.
And then the hardscape, the patios, walkways, retaining walls.
Yeah, those have to be well planned and constructed.
Durable, aesthetically pleasing.
And he's adamant about this.
Yeah.
Get the infrastructure in place before you plant anything.
Yeah, that's key.
Grading, drainage, wiring, water delivery systems.
The essential.
And he even gets into specifics. Lighting for both mood and safety.
Extending the use of the space into the evening.
Exactly.
Roofs and arbors for shade and rain protection. Paths. Do you want efficiency or do you want to create interesting vistas? A dedicated maintenance area.
For all your tools and whatnot.
And drainage, directing water away from the house and hardscape.
He even suggests using swales.
Swales.
Yeah, like natural depressions that let rainwater soak into the ground.
Interesting.
Replenishes the groundwater.
And then irrigation. He highly recommends an automated system.
Even if you think you'll hand water.
Right.
Consult with a professional. Get a quality system that'll save you time and money in the long run.
So we've covered function. Now let's talk about style.
Okay, the fun part.
He emphasizes that style is crucial for a cohesive look.
Right. You don't want a hodgepodge.
Men sometimes overlook this.
But without a clear style, you can end up with a space that just doesn't feel unified.
It's about creating a sense of flow, you know?
Yeah. Using consistent materials, colors, design motifs.
So he suggests reviewing your inspiration, identifying a theme that resonates with you. Maybe it's Mediterranean, traditional, naturalistic. Think of Mediterranean as natural materials and that sun-drenched feel. Traditional often emphasizes symmetry and greenery.
Right.
And natural styles, they blend with the existing landscape using those organic shapes. And he gives examples of different color schemes. Bold primary colors, purple with crisp shapes, muted olives, burnt oranges, rusty reds, powder blues, softer palettes, even jewel tones.
So many options.
It's about finding what speaks to you.
And after style, he circles back to research.
Knowledge is power.
Gather information on the materials you'll be using.
Flooring, wall materials, outbuildings, accessories, furniture, lights, appliances. And then he gives some really solid advice working with professionals. He suggests that often hiring a designer is the best move.
They have the experience, the resources.
They've seen it all. They can help you create the optimal layout, a truly beautiful space.
The key is to check their portfolio, their references.
Always do your due diligence.
Absolutely.
And finally, we come to putting it all together.
The culmination of all our efforts.
He reassures listeners that by doing their homework, they can create the space of their dreams.
Whether they tackle it all at once or in stages.
The point is, this level of planning ensures the final result reflects your needs and style.
And it provides lasting value.
He talks about the anticipation of having this space where you can recharge, entertain, be active.
It's an exciting prospect.
And he ends with this really powerful statement. Indeed, a man's home is his castle, but castles come in all shapes and sizes. With some effort and thought, you can create a comfortable and inspiring environment. If you plan and construct your living space well, it will give you years of relaxation and enjoyment.
I love that.
I think that perfectly sums up the essence of this chapter.
It does.
Michael Teeb has given us such a clear framework.
Actionable, too.
To conceptualize and create a masculine space.
And inspiring.
I highly recommend reading the full chapter.
Absolutely.
This book is such a valuable resource.
For any man looking to shape his life, his surroundings.
So that's Creating a Masculine Space from the 21st Century Man.
A fascinating deep dive.
We hope this exploration of Chapter 62 has given you some fresh ideas. A clear pathway to design an environment that truly reflects you.
And we encourage you to get a copy of The 21st Century Man.
Yeah, dive into Chapter 62.
Get all the details and nuances from Michael Teeb himself.
And join us next time for another deep dive. We'll be tackling Chapter 63, Retirement. Point, counterpoint.
Looking forward to it.
It's going to be an interesting one.
It is.
Until then, take care.
See you next time.